And there you go. So I promise we are recording the webinar. You will get this in your inbox. So if you have any questions, if you want to revisit it, if you want to share it with your friends, you will have a recording that will let you do that. You can also ask us questions. If you have any problems with the webinar, you can message me personally, or you can use the chat box in the window to send questions to me, and we will answer those at the end of our time together. If you are on Twitter, you can follow along with this webinar using the hashtag #QWebinar. And if you want some good insights both today and in the future, you can follow Mark Becker at Cathexis Partners, and you can also follow us at QGive as well. Just to give you a little bit of insight into what we're talking about today, we know that peer-to-peer fundraising is an absolutely fantastic way for nonprofits to raise money and also build more visibility in their communities. But peer-to-peer fundraising is only as successful as your participants can make it. And that can be really hard. So Mark is going to share some tried and true methods of inspiring your fundraisers to raise more money for your next event. Mark has got more than a decade of experience helping nonprofits meet their goals, so I'm sure he's going to have a ton of awesome information to share with you. And with that, I will turn it over to Mark.
Great. Thanks, Abby, and happy afternoon, everybody. Looking forward to speaking with you today, and it's kind of a one-sided conversation because of the webinar, but please, let's make it as interactive as possible, and as you're thinking of them, please ask any questions in the chat box, and we'll be sure to address those at the end here. When Abby and I first talked about this session a while ago, I had a complete idea of the structure of this and everything I was going to cover. But as maybe some of you, in addition to Abby and myself, we went to the Peer-to-Peer Fundraising Professional Conference last week, and that gave me an idea for, let me share that again. That gave me an idea for a new way to structure this presentation. So hopefully you're seeing my slide with the hands with the money here, and let me just advance this one slide. So I decided, based on the Peer-to-Peer Professional Forums conference last week and their announcement, like they do every year, of the top 30 peer-to-peer fundraising campaigns. They announce that every year at the conference. So I decided to use that to verify and review kind of my thoughts on what I was going to do with this presentation, and as I dug into it and looked at some of these high raising campaigns, I decided to kind of flip it on its head as far as how I presented this to you. So, and using the top 30 as a backdrop. So again, this is the top 30 peer-to-peer fundraising campaigns for 2016 that was just announced last week. If you want to download this or learn information, please go to peertopeerforum.com and check it out. You can download the list and see some of the other facts behind it. But one of the things I noticed out of this is, out of these top 30, only 13 of them increased funds in 2016, while 17 of them actually lost funds. I think that's pretty typical of the overall market in some cases for more legacy campaigns. You have to always find new ways to raise funds and further entice your constituents to help you raise more money and get more participants, right? So what I decided to do was, out of these 13, look at a few of the campaigns that really seemed to do really well. For example, LLS's Light the Night Walk increased by 12% from $61 million in 2015 to $68 million. Memorial Sloan Kettering and Cycle Survival has been doing really great year over year for the past few years, and increased by 20% 2015 to 2016. And AFSP, their Out of the Darkness community walks, increased by nearly 17%. So I got back from that conference and quickly looked at their sites and realized that they were doing a lot of the same things that I was planning on talking to you about today anyways. So I thought, great, no better way than just go ahead and walk through these sites and kind of highlight some of these elements that I think are really helping them with their fundraising that we're seeing are successful. So I want to show you by walking through the registration. First of all, let's check out Light the Night. I'm going to go ahead and register here, and I already pre-selected one of their Orlando walks near me. I'm going to walk as an individual. And right here they have a nice simple way to sign in with either Facebook or Google, or you can log in. You can log in by creating an account. I'm going to use one of my test accounts, and I'm going to go ahead and fill this in. And notice that they don't have a registration fee, but they do have it set up so that if you raise $100 or more, you'll get a T-shirt. So right off the bat, during the registration flow, they're reminding people, even if they're not charging a fee, they're reminding them that this is a fundraising campaign, and really the whole purpose is to raise more funds to help out the organization. And then I put in my signature, and oops, I have not collected the terms. And then from right here, I love this this video here that they put right on it. So they've incorporated the thank you page right in here into the flow. And what you're going to have is the CEO actually thanking them in a short, less than 30-second video, thanking them personally for registering. Just short, sweet, to the point, and you're off and running. So there's a nice automatic personal kind of feel and touch to where this is going and why you're being involved. I registered. Here's one I made earlier. Pre-baked this, and I had already registered and received the login. I'm going to go ahead and sign into my personal page and show you some of the functionality that they have in here to, again, make it really easy. I'll use this account this time. And they really give tools to make it easy for folks to fundraise, and also there's definitely different rules of thought here, schools of thought on whether or not promotions are a good idea or not. LLS definitely believes it is, and based on their fundraising, it's hard to argue with. But they say right here in their participants center that based on fundraising levels, how much you fundraise, you can get these different recognition items. And they put that front and center to basically have these different levels set up. But more importantly, they have a toolbox here to help people fundraise. They have all kinds of different pieces here to really help your constituents, their constituents, raise funds for the organization. So the first thing they have in here is a quick start guide to add some steps on how to set up their pages, to send out emails, and to update their page moving forward once they've set that all up initially. There's also an online tutorial for managing their fundraising page. And if I remember correctly, yep, they're actually going to, for some reason, instead of just linking to a YouTube page, they actually have a video created, which is a nice way to control it, because a lot of times when you link off to YouTube, you don't know what the next video is going to be, and it could all of a sudden start people down an endless list of different videos and get distracted by cats playing with shadows and that kind of thing. But what they've done here is create this video that's really personalized for their campaign series and their homepage so that they can walk people through how to set up their entire, let me turn this off, but I'm just going to kind of click through here. It's in a video that totally walks their constituents through, their participants through how to set up their pages, how to use the tools, how to add new videos. how to email out using the WYSIWYG editor so that constituents can, just like in Microsoft Word, update their personal page and send out emails, and really trying to make it as simple as possible for folks that are maybe not as familiar with it to go ahead and set up their pages. Then they have in here what to do in the first 48 hours. So again, they really have set it up very straightforward for folks to be able to go in and fundraise on their behalf. In the thank you email, they also have right here buttons that are really easy to set up, and a lot of organizations, we're seeing more and more getting better at this, but never forget to do this piece on the thank you page or in your thank you emails or follow-up emails. Put in a little bit of code, really simple to do. Drop in an image with your campaign and some default language that people can then update if they care to, or include it right on the image, and so people can put that right on Facebook or in Twitter, and make it real easy to link off to their page. So simple. Just took a few minutes of time for them to set this up, and they're off and running, right? Let me go off to the next example. Next, we're going to kind of look at out of darkness walks. I'm going to find an event. Again, I'm going to look in Florida. I'm going to check out the one here in Ocala. And you can see the fundraising to date. There's the event details. Register now. You can set up a team, you can volunteer, you can become a virtual walker even if you can't participate. And a lot of folks that are doing standard campaigns often forget this piece. We highly recommend it. If you are doing a standard run, walk, ride, always offer up a virtual version of that, so folks that aren't able to, aren't available, or aren't interested physically, or whatever the reason is, just prefer to stay home and sleep on that day, always give them a virtual option so that they can stay home and fundraise on your behalf even without participating. In fact, based on my past experience as an event production environment, I prefer these folks because they don't require porta potties, they don't require lunches, they don't require water. They're the easiest to take care of because they're not really there, but they're still interested in your cause and there to help out. I'm going to set up as an individual. There's a fundraising goal front and center, so you can know what, again, remind you that you're there for a purpose. And just like, hopefully you're seeing the trend here, participants who raise 150 or more will receive a T-shirt, right? So now we're 2 for 2 on this theme. No registration fee. I selected virtual, but I think even if I selected regular walker, they don't have a registration fee. And then you can put in the detailed required questions, etc., for the registration flow. And I did want to continue down here. Make sure I get the required information. Now you know way too much more about me personally. I think you have better things to do than stalk me, so I'm going to trust everybody here. I've already registered once, so I'm going to do this again. And right here, again, a great reminder and another example of going ahead and kickstarting your fundraising. You can either go ahead and click yes and start your fundraising right now, even though there wasn't a registration fee, or say no thanks at this point, and you'll finish your transaction without kind of verifying everything, verifying you agree to the terms and conditions, and since there's no transaction, no credit card information is required. And then here's my thank you page. I'll get a similar thank you email, but a lot of great information right here, right? So first of all, you can share it. You can tell your friends. Again, they point it right out here. Make it really stupid simple to to share on Facebook that you just registered for this event, and your friends should come support you or join you, right? Share on your timeline. It's all done there for you. And then it actually, this is on a slider, a rotating slider, so that every so many seconds it swaps from Facebook to email to Twitter. So you can post right to Twitter as well, and it's all right in there. Message is ready to go, and of course you can go ahead and swap out your message for your own, but it's great because it's already all set up with suggested messaging. Yeah, then it has on here what's next. Register another participant, kind of update your personal fundraising page, view your dashboard, or again, since I haven't yet, I can make a donation. They also have an app that you can download to view that and connect with folks, via your smartphone. If you want to further connect and make it easier to interact with your contacts as a participant on your smartphone, you can download their app to get all that information. So let me go to my dashboard here. Again, they have information about the app. They have an email signature you can download. And this is a popular trend that I'm seeing more and more too. Right here, you can copy and paste it as an email signature that goes directly to my account, which is really important. It allows people, it puts this image in there and in my email signature and links to my page so people can support me. And it has a progress meter and all of that so that it's updated on a regular basis. You can also look at a lot of information regarding how to interact with the system, how to get through and support and update your page. You can join a team. All of this really easy to use. There's suggested messages, etc. Now I'm going to go over the resources page, and they just have a standard donation form and offline donation forms as well, so people can download those. And I'm also going to go back to Walker Central here and go further down here. There's a nice webinar series by one of their Walker coaches that walks people through different topics. So how to basically update your page again, a nice personalized, once again, a personalized how-to video for going through the environment. And they have fundraising tools and just a ton of information here. For example, they have a 17-page guide on how to fundraise, how to update your personal page, how to work on social media, setting up your personal page, Facebook example, sample tweets, and sample Facebook posts, Instagram, some tips on how to fundraise, 50-50 raffles, how at work to ask people for money. A lot of great little tidbits here, all available to their participants. So let me go back one. And then they have the how-to for the fundraising tool itself, and then for their app they have another guide, and then most importantly, mission-focused. Basically, again, speaking about suicide for their constituents. This is for the Out of the Darkness Overnight for suicide prevention. So very important to keep that all tied back and never forget about the tone or your audience and the reason why you're doing this all in the first place. So that's all under fundraising tools. Some more fundraising tips. They have social media graphics and videos, so you can download these different images and use them on where appropriate. And I'm seeing a lot more of this. Back in the early days of social media, you probably saw this as well, where and some organizations unfortunately are still trying to kind of manage and control their brand and their communications and their logo and how it's used. You definitely should have guidelines, and the easiest way to do that is provide these types of things to your constituents so that it's not someone else trying to make their own homemade blacked out version of your logo and your banner images. So make these available to your participants so that they can download them and share them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever they might be interested. They've also made available their PSA. A lot of different videos here available. They have flyers available for folks to download and share with their friends. And a lot of different flyers in English and Spanish, and a fundraising flyer. They have an offline donation form also available here. They talk about matching gifts, making that very easy for folks to locate, look up and see if their company participates in that. And just additional FAQs, again, to help folks make it real easy to answer their questions, how to fundraise, what to do about their team, tax information, anything they need to know, it's right available here. And if it's not, they always have an 800 number available, so folks can reach out to them if they get stuck or have an additional question or want to help out or do their own event, etc. So in some of the ways, I mean, obviously very unique, different organization from LLS, but offering up some similar tools to their folks. And during this time frame, let me share again. Hit the wrong button. Sorry, everybody. During this time frame, I registered initially a couple of days ago, and I got this original autoresponder message 3 days ago on March 4th when I registered for the walk. And again, it talks about update and view your personal page. Also reminding myself that I get a T-shirt if I raise 150 or more by a specific date, which is the date of the walk, I believe. Talks about their fundraising app, the event details, obviously very important, and the social media links again. That was 3 days ago on the 4th when I registered, and then I got this one yesterday, 2 days after, with just kind of a follow-up. Hey, here, go to your Walker Central, check out, and this would link me right back again to where I was just a moment ago. So check that out. Participant toolkit, Facebook and mobile apps, flyers, social media, donation forms, everything you need, a participant needs to help them raise funds for your organization. So I think just do a great job, and no surprise why they're on the top 30 fundraiser list. Obviously they do a lot of events across the country that help them raise those funds, but they have a smart crew over there doing great things, and continue to really be impressive with the services they're offering up to their participants. Another type of campaign, kind of different from the first two I've shown you, is Cycle for Survival. They have a fundraising minimum when you register for this campaign. Now they've, like I said, have been doing really well. Year-over-year growth is very impressive. A lot of folks are into cycling, so that's a big part of it. Memorial Sloan Kettering has a great name and been doing terrific things, and their system continues to expand, and they don't rest on their laurels of their past success. They're always improving their environment. I'm not going to go all the way through the registration because I'm not going to I'm not a biker. I'm not going to get on and start this today. So but I am going to start because I wanted to show a couple of pages here. Let me see. And just wanted to get to this page and show that we can basically, again, kickstart our fundraising by starting increasing with our own initial donation. Of course, if you're not much of a fundraiser as a participant, you can just cover your entire minimum here and be done with it, or you can go on and fundraise as as anybody else. But I think what's really important here is they, too, like the other organizations, make it very straightforward and clear and have a lot of these tools available on their website to help their participants fundraise. For example, underneath how it works and fundraising tips, there's a ton of ideas here. Rally your team, give to yourself, update your page and tell a personal story and why you're connected. Ask, meet for coffee, wear your gear, get social. There's a bunch of fundraising and social media banners available. Do a special event, share a video. And I did want to show you they have a great page on YouTube with all their videos, and just a terrific brand and a lot of different folks uploading their videos and sharing their story to the YouTube channel for Cycle for Survival. So very interactive, great stories there. Again, matching gifts. They have another resources page. Hopefully, again, you're recognizing the trend, making it logos available so people don't have to just kind of make their own, because if they're interested and they want to have your logo and create different type of material to fundraise or advocate on your behalf, they're going to do it anyway, so make them available to them and make it very easy to download and use your logos as you want them. Then there's photos. So, they have small, medium, large photos. They have GIFs set up. They have additional cover photos, different badges for supporters and riders and captains. Again, email signatures. And they have all these printed material available for the about Cycle for Survival and the campaign. So there's posters and information. So just a ton of resources available. So just to put this back up one more time, those were the three we talked about. Again, of the top 30, these raised $68 million, $30 million, and $17 million respectively. And so those are campaigns, at a different level than maybe some of you on this phone. But I want to show you that it's happening at a lot of different levels, and there's no reason why, if you're a smaller organization, you can't incorporate very similar things, because an organization we've been working with for several years now, Second Harvest Food Bank of Central Florida. They're a food bank here in Central Florida. They do very well. They've been doing their virtual campaign, their virtual food drive, I think for about 5 or 6 years now when we first helped them implement it, and they've been crushing it. They've always had really great online social media campaign and really know how to help their participants raise funds. And they're nowhere near as big as those organizations listed in the top 30, but these guys are still crushing it. Some of the ways they do that is by showing off in their fundraising where the money is going to, and also the power of their mission. So they have it set up right here in their donation. When someone goes to support a participant of the virtual food drive, they can visualize the buying power of the food bank. So again, visualizing that connection to the mission and how important and valuable their services are to the local community. So a great way to show that, hey, and there's even a disclaimer in here, while we're not physically buying 180 pounds of carrots for $15 in this case, that's the buying power of our network of services that we work with. So that when someone can go to this page and support a participant, they can see how valuable that food bank is in supporting them. That's the first thing. Then, of course, they have all the social media here. They have FAQs. They have these different badges that people get, a lot of gamification to show as people reach different fundraising levels. It shows in the top fundraisers list and also on their personal page that they've reached these different milestones. And I apologize. I know I just realized I'm clicking kind of fast, and never sure how fast it kind of resolves for you at the other end of a webinar. So hopefully I'm not clicking too fast. Going back to the FAQs, though, again, there's just a lot of great items here, including the online toolkit. Looky here, right back to where we continue to come with these trends. Facebook graphics, making it very easy for, again, folks to put a banner up or something on their timeline in Facebook or Twitter, and also some suggested tweets about and Facebook posts about the campaign. And they too have a really detailed manual for starting a food drive. A lot of information about how to register, how to set up a page, how to fundraise, just a wealth of information to help. Because at the end of the day, these folks your participants aren't professional fundraisers. So you need to set up these services online in your website and remind them through regular communications of what they can do and how you can help them and make it easier for them to fundraise on your behalf. In fact, if I go out to their Second Harvest Food Bank's Facebook page, they have a lot of great posts on a regular basis. Here's a volunteer that posted leading a bunch of other people through packaging up a bunch of food at one of their events. This is on their regular Facebook page, but right here on Facebook they have a link to start their fundraising drive right from here, and they can link through and donate to their fundraising page or start one right from here, all interconnected and really easy to use. So I, again, covered a lot of information, I think, really fast and really focused on the online side of this. But I would say, don't forget to reiterate all of these things in your email communications. In recruitment emails to get folks to register, past participants or constituents or new people to your organization. Make sure you make them aware of what type of services and support they're going to have if and when they register for you. And once they do register, make sure you hopefully, first of all, have enough of a runway to send them regular communication to remind them of the services and support that you have and how to use what's at their fingertips to maximize their involvement, their enjoyment, and their participation and fundraising efforts for your campaign. So that's what I had to share with you today. Would be happy to take any questions.
Well, we did have one question from Aaron, and Aaron wanted to know, can you tell us the average amount an individual and a team raise online through peer-to-peer fundraising?
Ooh, there's a great report that comes out there's a few of them, and the average amount depends on what type of campaign it is. For example, walks do better than a 5K because 5Ks are really you'll get some fundraising, but more often than not, the people are there to do the 5K because they want to run, and if there's a registration fee, they think of that as their cost of doing business, if you will, or cost of entry, and they're kind of done. Whereas walks fundraise more. And then there's cycling and endurance events that even move upwards $80 or more per donation. I can follow up with a benchmark report that I have available to share with you, but I don't want to start quoting numbers off the top of my head because I have too many numbers rattling around in there and I don't want to misquote those. But there's some great resources that I can share with you for sure.
Okay, cool. I also got a question from Allison. She asked if you could recommend a way to create fundraising websites like these without spending a lot of money. They don't have the money available to hire someone to build an event like this. Do you have any advice you could give her?
Yeah, creating the events, the online websites, and the resources is all doesn't have to be expensive, right? You need Photoshop or Paintbrush at least, and some good computer skills to be able to create those different resources and make them available. And I know that what we're doing with the folks at Central Florida Food Bank, they've relied on us for the initial implementation of the environment, but really have done a great job of supporting all of that supporting material on their own themselves and through volunteers, and it doesn't have to cost a ton to create those resources.
Sure. And Allison, I can also tell you, I don't know if you're shopping around, but there are people like QGive who try to make it pretty easy to build things. So if you are looking for a service that can help you, I can speak at least to QGive. I am terrible at design. I don't know anything about HTML, and I've learned some really cool stuff in our own platform that I can build things myself. And if I can do it, I assure you, you can. We also have a question from Greg. He says that their biggest surprise in the first year of their peer-to-peer fundraising was the number of people who registered and then they never heard from them again. Do you have like an estimated percentage of people who just are no-shows and how nonprofits can kind of figure out what to expect?
Are no-shows or raise no funds? And I guess I could use those interchangeably. I would say we see a shocking majority of organizations that have folks that have events or even virtual campaigns that register and then raise no funds. And I'm also very shocked by the number of organizations that they probably realize it, but don't really realize the importance of that until we break out and tell them let's ignore the fact that you've raised 5% more overall. Last year you raised $50,000. The year before that you raised $45,000. Whatever it is, you're happy about that increase. But let's drill down into those numbers, and we start seeing 65% plus that just register and then never fundraise at all. It's a shocking amount how often we see that, and that's why these types of tools and the toolkits, and again, a communications calendar that is continually not overly communicating to them, but I think once a week is a good place to start. And if you start seeing an unsubscribe rate increase, then back off of it. But once a week is a pretty good amount of time, and hopefully you have at least around a 3-month, 2 to 4 months, 3 months or more runway to communicate with folks once you open up registration, so that you can remind them to continue to fundraise or start fundraising. And it all starts with some version of an email that says, I know this is difficult, but all you have to do is ask 10 people and you will get donations. And just serve it up to them, but know that you're not alone, because there's a shocking number of organizations that have registrants that never fundraise.
Sure. And this is something that a lot of our clients at QGive do with our platform that's very successful. They will create templated emails that their fundraisers can send out to their friends and family. In QGive, participants can do it right from their dashboard, but if you're using someone else, you can give them templated emails that they can just copy and paste, maybe change a couple of lines and send out. One thing we see a lot of is that participating fundraisers are not fundraising professionals. They don't know where to start. They don't know how to ask for money. and they're frightened to get started. So if you can give them something like a template for a fundraising email, or if you could give them a 1 or 2 line status or something to share on Facebook or Twitter, they're going to be a lot more likely to use those things because they already know that a professional is kind of helping them out. So that is also something you can try to engage those people who don't raise money. We also have a question from Arletta. Yeah, we've seen some pretty cool things happen from that, so I highly suggest it to everybody. Arletta says that they find that they have a lot of people on their website that don't read all of the great info they have. And then she said all of the information on the Sloan Kettering site was overwhelming even for her, and she is a fundraiser. What advice can you give to nonprofits who have wonderful information to share, but they're not able to actually get their constituents involved or get them to read it?
Yeah, that's a great question and quite the rub, right? Because you have all this information, but if you stack it all up there and your average person isn't going to digest it, it's too much information, right? You need 1 to 3 points of information, and that's where the email communications really comes in. Your follow-up. Point to one call to action, and hopefully if your system supports it, once they take that one action, like updating their personal page, their fundraising page, once that's checked off the list, you send a different trigger or a different email next time to say, we noticed that you haven't sent out any emails yet, or we noticed that you haven't received any donations yet. Here's a suggested message again, and take that overall resource kit and use that for part of your communications, and share 1 or 2 nuggets of that with the participants at a time so that they can just focus on that one thing. Always refer back to your overall resources or center or whatever you might have for other information, but break it down for them. I don't know, Abby, if you have anything else to add to that.
Well, I was going to say that's super useful for participants, breaking things up. So Arletta, if your participants are being overwhelmed by the amount of information that you're offering, splitting it up really is a useful way to do that. One thing that our clients have a lot of fun using is something we call our walkthrough or our welcome quest. And instead of giving a participant a long email with a ton of different ideas for how to send emails, make social posts, and update their page and do all of this, we do break it down into a step-by-step thing where, like Mark said, you can kind of check something off a list. And we get pretty great results with that, mostly because, as you noted, if you are giving information to your participants, it can be kind of overwhelming. So if you break it down and make it kind of a game, they're a little more likely to pay attention and get things done. If you're talking about all the great information you have on your website being kind of overwhelming for people who are potential donors, or people who are landing on your peer-to-peer page because they have been invited by someone to donate or to participate, there are a few things that are really helpful. If you've got a ton of information, a video is actually a really great way to get a lot of information across in a way that is not overwhelming, especially because if you're confronted with a wall of text on a web page, it's kind of off-putting. But if you have someone who's friendly talking directly to you, it can be a little more engaging. It's not as intimidating. It doesn't take as much time. If you really do want to give a lot of information kind of in text, just as a copywriter, I can tell you that people react really well to bullet pointed lists instead of long paragraphs. And another great way to get people to actually read what you have to say is to space photos in white space. And put those kind of around the text that you're trying to get people to read. So depending on who you're talking about, participants can be overwhelmed. Arletta just commented, feed them small bites instead of the whole Thanksgiving dinner at once. That's absolutely right. That's definitely the way to get people to engage. So Arletta, if you have any questions about that feel free to email me. You can email me at abby.jarvis@qgive.com, and I can send you some examples of clients of ours who have done videos or who have really great stories put on their social media or on their peer-to-peer page. I've got one more question from Greg. He says that their biggest fundraisers kind of anecdotally commented that they did their best fundraising with email and not social media. Is that common for peer-to-peer fundraising?
Interesting. Abby, I don't know if you have any thoughts about this as well, but yeah, we're seeing the trend more go the other way, obviously, because email's been around a while, whereas social media, I think it depends, millennials versus Gen X versus Gen Y, et cetera. I think some of the same benchmark reports that we can share with you after the fact point to some of that, but I always say communications is always what to think about from both your organization's perspective and also your participants, right? So from your organization perspective, if you still can afford it and it's the right fit and it's right for your audience, direct mail announcements for the campaign, this next event season, whatever it might be right, along with email and social media posts, right? And then you start looking at your results, and I think it all comes down to analysis, both from what you're sending out to your constituents, but also what your constituents are sending out to their friends and family and contacts. Depending on the type of campaign, if it's based around corporate giving or workplace giving, email is probably going to be more successful. Again, depending on the age of the audience, but never give up on one because of what you're seeing in another area, because it comes down to your audience and what they lean onto.
And I can add a little bit of that. Greg, a client of ours here in Lakeland did a fundraiser a while ago, and some coworkers and I at QGive participated in their event. And I know I, at least, did get better success requesting support through email. And this is anecdotal, but I can tell you, I think, why that happened. Social media is wonderful for starting conversations and raising awareness and getting people to think about the event that you're participating in. But one danger with social media is because you are generally addressing a large group of people. So if I'm talking to Facebook, I'm talking to several hundred of my closest friends. If you are talking to a crowd, it is very easy for people to kind of think, oh, well, it's okay. Someone else will support them. If you're sending an email, you are asking a specific person for a specific gift, and that kind of one-on-one communication, I think, is very effective in getting people to support you. At QGive, we have people do both. We have integrations with social media and various platforms that make it easy to post, but we see that most people who post and do social together are most successful. And I can't remember the study I read. I know I have it somewhere, and I referenced it in an ebook I wrote a while ago. Participating fundraisers who send emails are much more likely to raise money than those who only rely on social media. So the most powerful thing you can do is encourage people to do email and social media, but the one-on-one, more personal approach that you can get through email is really powerful. So if you have any questions about that, send me an email and I can send you some stuff. And then I've got one more for you. Aaron asked, what role does text-to-give play in peer-to-peer fundraising campaigns?
Yeah, I think that's becoming, for me, I'm seeing it still as kind of a buzzword in a lot of cases. I haven't seen too many cases where it's truly been successful. There's more work being done in this space, but I think quite often what the challenge is, and I think there's some new functionality and some new ideas around how to overcome this, but a lot of this comes down to once someone gives via text, connecting that to a constituent you already have, or learning out other ways to reach out to that person that donated to you, and finding other means of communicating with that person moving forward, and really turning them into a long-term, lifetime constituent, or at least an ongoing donor, or whatever your next step in the ladder is has been a bit of a challenge. But new technology continues to attempt to crack that nut.
Sure. And Greg, this is another one that I can, or not Greg. Yeah, Greg. Or Aaron, sorry, I'm mixing you guys up. This is another one I can speak to. We just recently launched a text giving for peer-to-peer fundraising feature. The way we see this working really well, we have a base short code for the event, and then we have a short code that's specific to constituents or teams. And the way I've really seen people kind of do this well is in situations where they have a captive audience. And captive audience it generally works better for people who you're talking to in person. And an example of this that I can give you now, a friend of mine was fundraising for a local nonprofit using our platform, and this was before we had text giving. And the way she did it, she invited a whole bunch of people from a community group that she's a part of, and had them all out to the brewery here in town. And she set up a laptop, and people would go stand in line to donate to her. What she could have done with this feature now is, once she had a large group of people sitting down, they all knew why they were there. Instead of asking them to get up and stand in line to make a donation on a laptop, she could give them her short code, and we could have done it on our phones. I've also seen some people do text giving, and this is text giving in general, not really with peer-to-peer, but if someone did do a direct mail piece, it would kind of be cool to include a text code, probably for your event, not for constituent, just because of the difficulties Mark talked about in doing something like that over direct mail. But that might be another interesting way to get your codes out there. And like Mark said, I can only give you a few kind of anecdotal examples. It is something that is kind of new in the peer-to-peer space. Text giving has been around for a long time, but we're still working out getting things tied to constituents and teams, and it is constantly evolving. So that's as much of a hard answer as I can give you. All right.
Other
is
questions?
there? I don't see much else. It looks like that's everything. Okay, guys. Well, it looks like those are most of the questions that we have. I've thrown out a few examples of what nonprofits who are working with QGIve are doing. All of the features that Mark talked about today, being able to make registration easy, having a storefront, giving or answering frequently asked questions, and uploading resources for your participants. If you have questions about how QGIve can help you do those things, please give us a call. You can reach us here at 888-855 9595. Or you can also visit us at www.qgift.com. We have a web page specifically for peer-to-peer fundraising. It's got a ton of information about those features and some other ones that we didn't get to talk about today. And I'll also be sending you a couple of emails with more examples from our nonprofits and how they're succeeding, and giving you some ideas of how you can emulate their success also. You guys also, you will get a recording of this webinar and an invitation to a follow-up webinar. Mark talked a lot about how you can motivate your participants to raise more money. A man named Tim from Neon CRM is going to be doing a webinar on how to retain your peer-to-peer fundraisers. So once someone gets involved with you, they've raised money for you, now what do you do? Those are the questions that Tim is going to answer for us. So keep an eye out. You'll get an email inviting you to that also. Until then, please feel free to email us with questions, and if not, we will see you then.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
All right. Everybody, goodbye.